This segment of the news is brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
Welcome back. It was a busy day at the Magistrates Court on Nassau Street as a number of persons were charged on various criminal offenses. Our Sharika Johnson was at the court complex and files this report.
A 20-year-old stood before Chief Magistrate Joanne Ferguson Pratt today, charged with the New Year's Day murder. It is alleged that the Haitian national Ruben Lusma of Market Street intentionally caused the death of Marco Meadows on January 1, 2020. He was not required to enter a plea and was remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections. Lusma alleges that he was taken into custody on Thursday and was beaten by police, and claims he was hit with a bat in the head and about the body and was denied access to a doctor. Magistrate Ferguson Pratt took note of his claims and requested he see a doctor as reasonably practical upon his return to the Bahamas Department of Corrections. Lusma returns to court on February 26, 2020. Also charged with murder were Amber Moss and Bernard Taylor. It is alleged that the 18-year-old and 24-year-old caused the death of Javine Williams on the 30th of December 2019. The pair was also charged with conspiracy to commit murder. It is alleged that on December 29, 2019, concerned with others, they conspired to commit murder, which led to the killing of Williams. Moss alleges that while in police custody, he was placed in a body bag and a plastic bag was placed over his head. He says officers punched him in the face and he subsequently hit his head to the floor. Taylor, who wears an ankle bracelet, claims he has an alibi. He says he was with his girlfriend, having picked her up from Fusion Superplex on the night in question. He asked Magistrate Ferguson Pratt to allow his family to send him clothing. Magistrate Ferguson Pratt allowed both Moss and Taylor to speak with their mothers after the charges were read. They were represented by counsel. They returned to court on February 25th, 2020. And 27-year-old Cleophas Smith of Nassau Village was also charged before Chief Magistrate Ferguson Pratt with the murder of Keon Butler and also with the attempted murder of Chavez McPhee and Marvin Tilme on August 13, 2019. After his charges were read, he also claimed to the magistrate that he was in contact with the complainant McPhee, who was in a cell next to his. Ferguson Pratt made note of his claim. He too was remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections and returns to court on February 25th, 2020 at noon. I'm Sharika Johnson.
Well, just prior to that court matter, in court number 8, a man being arraigned, he became ill and unconscious. According to police, shortly before 11 a.m., the male was escorted into magistrate's court to be formally charged. A short time later, he became ill. Paramedics transported the man to hospital, where he was later pronounced dead. Tonight, police are also investigating a sudden death. In this instance, it was shortly before 12 p.m. that a lifeless body of an adult male was discovered on a park on East Bay Street in the area of the Sir Sidney Poitier Bridge. Paramedics were called to the scene where the male was pronounced dead. Foul play is not suspected at this time. Police say an autopsy will be performed in both cases to determine the exact cause of death. Investigations are ongoing. An overnight shooting leaves a man in hospital in stable condition after he was shot multiple times about the body. Police are now seeking the public's assistance in identifying and locating the persons responsible. It was shortly after 7 last night that a man was standing in front of a bar on Rupertine Lane when a white car pulled up. The occupants of the car opened fire in his direction, hitting him about the body before speeding away. The man was transported to hospital. No one else was injured during this incident. Police on Long Island investigating the circumstances surrounding an alleged drowning of an adult female this past Thursday. Reports from Long Island indicate that it was shortly after 4 p.m. that the lifeless body of the female was discovered in a pond off Queens Highway, burnt brown. The body was examined by the local doctor and the victim was pronounced dead at the scene. Police say foul play is not suspected at this time. However, an autopsy will be performed to determine the exact cause of death. Meantime, police on the island of Exuma are also investigating the circumstances surrounding the death of an adult male whose body was discovered this past Friday on that island. It was shortly after 1 p.m. Police officers were called to a bushy area at Bahama Sound number 3, Georgetown, where the lifeless body of the male was discovered. It was examined by a local doctor and the victim was pronounced dead. Again, an autopsy will be performed to determine the exact cause of death. In other crime news, 2 U.S. citizens adult males ages 51 and 21 are out more than $20,000 after they failed to declare the large sum of money when attempting to leave the country yesterday. The men, having presented themselves to a U.S. Border Control officer at the Lynden Pinling International Airport shortly after 7 a.m., failed to declare that they had $27,800 in cash. The maximum not needing to be declared is $10,000. The men were subsequently handed over to police and are expected to be arraigned before a magistrate's court this week. Stay with us. Dorino Saunders is up next with sports.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.